Welcome to Spectacle, your socio-political and economic program on television Nigerian. I am Daniel Atai. Today, we shall be looking into advanced level of technology in the 21st century IT world, from which the latest drive is the Internet of Things within exponential computer programming known as the quantum computing. What does it mean by Internet of Things, and what is quantum computing? That America, Europe, and Asia are kind of competing and heavily investing into it. Is it all about 5G or program infinito? Does it portend any danger to human body system? Please stay tuned. Let's get to business. What does it mean by Internet of Things? The word quantum in physics terms refers to a discrete quantity of energy proportional in magnitude to the frequency of the radiation it represents, meaning that quantum computing has to deal with or controls any form of matter connected to its energy field and proportionally directs the magnitude of such in real time and space using advanced cryptosystems algorithm of encryption and decryptions. However, the introduction of a new web program known as the Internet of Things, which is an application of intelligent and automatic evaluation of machine conditions, including humans, in real time, plus the launch of 5G supporting cellular data networks, the encryption of all matters under its energy could be decrypted anywhere in the world, just with one execution key. It is a quest for a technology that could control all things that notable high-tech companies such as Google, International Business Machine, IBM, Intel, Microsoft, and even most first and second world countries are advancing for gaining quantum supremacy. Quantum technologies are becoming more and more glorious in different parts of the world. Several countries are running in the race for leading the world with the technology of quantum computing. Notably, according to market reports, the global quantum computing market accounted for $88.1 billion in 2019, growing at a CAGR of 29.1% during the forecast period of 2019 to 2026. Below are the list of top 10 countries leading the race of quantum computing technology, though enhanced but not without consequences on the human body system and organs. Number 1 is the US. In December 2019, US President Donald Trump signed a bill into law that dedicates around $1.2 billion to the country's efforts towards quantum information science over the next decade. The National Quantum Initiative Act represents the government's bipartisan push to lead the race of quantum computing, quantum cryptography, and quantum communications, in this case 5G and perhaps infinity generational network connectivity. 2. Canada. Canada has been ranked amongst the world's leading nations in quantum research. Canada has invested more than $1 billion in a decade. Its research expertise, growing private sector impact, and government commitments to innovation and competitiveness position it in a place to scientific advances drive in the quantum technology development. 3 is Germany. The German government has announced to invest a handsome amount, if not invested already, in IBM's quantum computing research work to drive the creation of a new community for industry and application-oriented quantum computation strategies. The government would invest, or perhaps has invested, 650 million euros over the next 2 years to support the transition of quantum technologies from basic research into market-ready applications. We have France. France has recognized quantum technologies as a major interest area and are planning to invest around 10 million euros over 4 years. Initiatives including the Quantonation fund aims to read as a necessity and recommend using quantum cryptography. The UK. The UK government has announced a £153 million investment into efforts dedicated to commercializing quantum computing. The sum of $193 million investment and an additional commitment from several industry players, the total funding accelerates up to over $440 million. Additionally, the UK's National Quantum Technologies Program has passed £1 billion, approximately about $1.27 billion in investment since its inception in 2014. The Netherlands. The Netherlands now is of the leading players in quantum technology as it is developing rapidly worldwide as a quantum computers and networks applications and today's internet building a bigger picture for quantum technologies. A whole new high-tech industry may emerge in Netherlands soon. Additionally, the country is planning to invest or has invested 135 million euros in QTech in the next 10 years. QTech is a quantum technology institute that aims to develop the building blocks for the first quantum computer. Russia. Russia is also investing in quantum computing at the Russian Quantum Center. President Vladimir Putin had reportedly raised national spending on research and development, which is R&D, to 1% of Russia's gross domestic product, with $3 billion earmarked for fundamental scientific research and development in 2018. China. China's focus is to outperform the US and become a technology leader. That is, if it hasn't done that already. China understands the strategic importance of quantum technology for its economy and military resources as well. In the past 2 years, China has vigorously participated in pacing up its quantum research. In 2016, President Xi Jinping established a national strategy for China which portrays it to become technologically self-reliant, meaning they've taken over. South Korea. The Republic of Korea has announced to invest $40 million in quantum computing over the next 5 years. In the next 5 years, the country will develop core technologies such as quantum computer hardware and quantum computing, new architecture, quantum algorithms, and infrastructure, and so on. South Korea's research program will ensure core technology for quantum computing and creating a domestic research ecosystem. Japan. The technology industry in Japan has set its eye on quantum computing, hoping to bring practical applications to the market early in the next decade. Japan has planned to invest more than $270 million in a 10-year research plan to make the nation a leading center for quantum research and development. Recently, the country has launched new initiatives to advance quantum information science and technology to the next phase. This has been done to employ such technologies for the resolution of societal problems. Let's take a look into this short video to understand the world-leading quantum computing nation and what consequences may be in the nearest future. And when we come back, we'll continue the analysis.
Urgent wake-up call. 5G means danger for life and physical condition.
The establishment media are highly euphoric in their reporting on the new generation of mobile radio communications, 5G. Germany is said to be underdeveloped concerning seamless mobile phone coverage. As an important business nation, it would need seamless network coverage. Dead spots are no longer allowed to exist. 5G is said to now allow autonomous driving and inform us automatically when the milk bottle is empty, so it would be existentially necessary for our future. Today we broadcast an urgent wake-up call. These are the major dangers of 5G.
Whoever believes that the step up from 4G to 5G is just a next step, comparable with the step up from 3G to 4G, succumbs to a huge error. Because 5G means a gigantic quantum leap, and is the most serious intervention mankind has ever made in nature in the entire history of humanity. In order to install a nationwide 5G network in Germany, about 800,000 new transmitters are needed. 5G means such a massive infrastructure upgrade as has never been seen before. For 5G in urban areas, the providers have to install a strongly radiating mobile communications antenna approximately every 100 meters. What an ocean of antennas! What a radiation tsunami! For 5G to have sufficient penetration depth, despite the shortwave radiation, it takes up to 1,000-fold increase in transmission power. So 5G has a twofold consequence. First, microwave antennas present everywhere. Second, dramatic increase in the radiation intensity. This exponential increase of forced irradiation of the entire population is an irresponsible experiment on human health. Already in 2011, the World Health Organization classified mobile communications in Category 2B of cancer-causing substances, thus as potentially carcinogenic. Based on recent scientific studies, reputable scientists are demanding its classification in Category 1, namely as cancer-causing. Just how dangerous 5G technology can be became apparent at the end of October 2018 in The Hague, Holland. During a 5G test, at least 298 healthy birds fell dead from the sky. Eyewitnesses also reported that ducks behaved strangely, constantly trying to hold their heads below the water. About 1 week after the first bird die-off, in Huygen Park in The Hague, more than 100 starlings fell dead from the trees, while another 5G test was being carried out. First conclusion: 5G represents a considerable hazard for the physical integrity of humans and animals. Second, 5G is a threat to our lives and our freedom. Through this worldwide microwave antenna jungle and RFID microchips, which are supposed to be implemented into everything, it will be possible for everything to be networked with everything, and everything to communicate with one another. In other words, the Internet of Things. Tom Wheeler, ex-president of the Federal Communications Commission, or FCC, gets right to the point. Hundreds of billions of microchips attached to products from pill bottles to lawn sprinklers. We must forget the idea that the 5G future will only be for urban regions. The 5G revolution will affect every corner of our country. What can be connected will be connected. Likewise, also the PC, microphone, and computer camera are supposed to be connected, and through this, a total surveillance system has gained access to our houses. The 5G network can see through walls and houses, leading to digital control of every person. This surveillance concerns not only one's own home, but 5G will also allow a full surveillance of the entire landscape, because 5G has mobile networking capabilities. Every moving point can be observed and tracked. Our homes are meant to become smart homes, and cities smart cities. Everything is digitally networked by means of microwaves. And like this, we are caught in a net of microwaves which paralyze us spiritually, mentally, and physically. In the course of this digitalization madness, money too has become digitalized. This means that citizens are to be convinced with threadbare arguments that cash is outdated. When everything is digitalized and the Internet of Things is networked with the real world, then complete control over every single person will be possible. Second conclusion: 5G paves the way for a surveillance dictatorship of such an extent that not even George Orwell could have anticipated it.
Welcome back. That video you just watched is part of the consequences that may be coming in the nearest future. The consequences in an appeal to the European Union, more than 180 scientists and doctors from 36 countries warn about the danger of 5G, which will lead to a massive increase in involuntary exposure to electromagnetic radiation. The scientists urge the EU to follow Resolution 1815 of the Council of Europe, asking for an independent task force to reassess the health effects of 5G. And part of their resolutions read, we, the undersigned scientists, recommend a moratorium on the rollout of the 5th generation 5G for telecommunication unit until potential hazards for human health and the environment have been fully investigated by scientists independent from industry. 5G will substantially increase exposure to radio frequency electromagnetic fields, that is RF, EMF, on top of the 2G, 3G, 4G, Wi-Fi, and so on for telecommunications already in place. Radio frequency electromagnetic force has been proven to be harmful for humans and the environment, says the scientists. The Council of Europe, known from the European Convention on Human Rights, published a report on 6 May 2011 under the chairmanship of Jean Hus on the dangers to public health of electromagnetic fields. The committee calls for the lowering of exposure limits, especially. The committee goes further than that. It recommends removing all wireless equipment from classrooms and calls for special measures to be taken to protect people who are sensitive to electromagnetic radiation, including the setting up of radiation-free white zones, RFWZ. The recommended exposure limit is 0.2 volt per meter. This is microwaves per square meter, which is 100,000 stricter than current exposure limit. Some of the highlights from the EU report are as follows. 1. To reconsider the scientific basis for the present electromagnetic field exposure standard set by the International Commission on Non-Ionizing Radiation Protection, which have serious limitations and apply as low as reasonably achievable. That is ALARA principle, covering both thermal effect and the atomic or biological effects of electromagnetic emissions or radiation on the human body and organs. 2. To set preventive thresholds for levels of long-term exposure to microwaves in all indoor areas in accordance with the precautionary principle not exceeding 0.6 volts per meter, and in the medium term to reduce it to 0.2 volts per meter. 3. To ban all mobile phones, all digital enhanced cordless telecommunication known as DECT phones, to ban all Wi-Fi or wide area and local areas network systems from classrooms and schools as advocated by some regional authorities, medical associations, and civil society organizations. Most Western countries have adopted the exposure limit for electromagnetic radiation of the International Commission on Non-Ionizing Radiation Protection, a non-governmental organization. In Resolution 1815, the Council of Europe heavily criticized this limit. The Council recommends a new directive for the maximum field strength of 0.2 volts per meter. Note, the current standard is 40 volts per meter. Wireless devices exceed the level of 0.2 volt per meter in an area of about 3 meters around the devices by more than 0.2 volt per meter. It is important to note that a GSM phone at 3 meters distance while making a call is 3 volt per meter peak power with poor range. A DECT base station or DECT handset in 3 meters away while making a call is 1 volt per meter peak power. A Wi-Fi laptop at a distance of 0.5 meters in data transmission is 0.95 volt per meter, which is in the peak power. One of the initiators is Dr. El Hader, professor of oncology at Rebro University in Sweden, whose research in a new analysis of the interphone study data found that people who have talked on their mobile phone for more than 1,640 hours run a risk or a 2.8 higher risk of cancer, which is glioma, a type of brain tumor, than non-mobile users. It states the telecom industry is trying to roll out technology that may have very real unintended harmful consequences. Scientific studies, both recently and over many years, have identified harmful effects on health when testing wireless products under realistic conditions. But let's hook up on phone with Abdul Hakim Bashir, the young Nigerian who developed an artificial intelligence AI for Chiniki Guards Limited. Let's get to reach him and let's have his take about what this quantum computer means. Abdul Hakim Bashir.
Yes.
Yeah, you are live on television Nigeria and to explain to us about this new technology called the Internet of Things and the program quantum computing. As a young developer of AI, could you say anything about it?
Thank you so much for having me. It leverages the IOT and AI to provide solution for retailers, security, theft, and other peripherals.
Now, the Internet of Things, is it meant to control all things, including humans?
Pretty much, I would say it's meant to simplify and make things for humans smart and simple. Obviously, I wouldn't say to control humans, but much more about controlling devices such as switches, lamps, and providing humans an easy way to interact and have better lives. So a simple example would be having an application that can regulate your air conditioner at home, or you can remotely use a mobile application to regulate a temperature or a switch, or in our case, obviously, which is providing intelligence from video feeds to provide notifications to mobile applications, which obviously is connected to internet. So the way I see it's more about simplifying human.
Okay, well, the advanced technological tools in America, Asia, and Europe towards quantum computing, especially the launch of the 5G. What do you have to say about it? Apart from the Internet of Things, which is a web programming, where we have this new technological advancement in computing under the quantum computer, the fifth generation network known as 5G. You have anything to say about 5G network?
Yeah, I think 5G is a phenomenal technology that provides a huge amount of speed, and obviously it's going to enable a lot of things like if you think about a remote surgery where professional doctors can have a surgery remotely at a very huge speed. That's what 5G could enable. Faster communication, faster inference, obviously. Very recently, I've seen some sort of misconceptions for people, especially on social media, about 5G and the possibility of 5G contributing to COVID-19, which I think it's a misconception and it's pretty much wrong. But obviously 5G has some sort of radiation, which I believe is not up to something that should harm humans. It provides more opportunities especially for us in the tech space, to innovate and perform inference on a large amount of data. Obviously, do more research. So for example, one of the things that we do in our company is we try to get videos to be streamed at high latency as possible, We don't have 5G here yet, but we believe when we have 5G, so the story of us delivering inference in real time will become much more realistic, and people would see it very, very. Uh,
Now, when you talk
okay.
about real time in quantum physics, we understand that for you to be able to activate or animate an object proportional to the magnetic field of location in time and space, you would have to use the equation directly proportional to the standard that we have, which is the frequency of light. In that case, don't you think that the radiation from the 5G launch is directly coming from elements such as gamma, beta, and alpha rays?
I haven't done much depth into the 5G, so I don't think there's anything for us to worry about as far as 5G is concerned. So, like I said, I haven't done. Yeah, I'm not
All right, all right.
into. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. We've been speaking with Abdul Hakim Bashir from Kano State. He's talking to us. He's an AI developer who has just talked to us about the importance of 5G and the Internet of Things. Abdul, thank you very much for speaking to us.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you. We are very concerned that the increase in radiation exposure by 5G leads to damage that cannot be reversed. How do I say it again? The fifth generation 5G of radio frequency radiation is now being developed. This is done without dosimetric determination or study of the possible health effects. The media praise, in particular, all the possibilities that this technology promises to offer, such as the self-propelled car and Internet of Things, which is IOT. The consequences for the health of humans, plants, and animals are not discussed at all. Politicians, governments, and the media are responsible for unbalanced information. Ordinary people are not informed of conflicting opinions about this technological development. The health effects from radio frequency radiation are non-issue in the media at all for now. Since 5G is a new technology, there is no research on health effects, so we are flying blind, to quote a US senator. However, we have considerable evidence about the harmful effects of 2G and 3G. Little is known on the effect on exposure to 4G, a 10-year-old technology, because governments have been remiss in funding this research. Meanwhile, we are seeing increase in certain types of head and neck tumors in tumor registries, which may be at least partially attributable to the proliferation of cell phone radiation. These increases are consistent with results from case control studies of tumor risk in heavy cell phone users. There is a fear from some quarters that the introduction of 5G would eliminate all other networks in subsequent time. However, 5G will not replace 4G. It will accompany 4G for the near future and possibly over the long term. If there are synergistic effects from simultaneous exposures to multiple types of RFR, our overall risk of harm from radio frequency radiation may increase substantially. Cancer is not the only risk, as there is considerable evidence that radio frequency radiation causes neurological disorders and reproductive harm, likely due to oxidative stress. So, possibly, what is happening in the world pandemic today may or could be due to the supremacy of the fifth generation network known as 5G and the quantum technology that drives the Internet of Things, IOT. It is therefore necessary for the United Nations Organization and its Charter of World Health Organization to regulate this new technological advancement to suit or conform with human lives. And this is where Spectacle will stop today. You can follow us on our social media platforms and drop your comment as regard the Internet of Things, quantum computer, and the fifth generation network known as 5G. Thanks for watching. I have been your host, Daniel Atai. Welcome to Spectacle on Television Nigeria. I am your host, Daniel Atai.